It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich consistently appears on business book lists. First compiled in 1941, but forgotten due to the onset of World War II, it has been rediscovered and republished for a new generation. Joining me today is Mitch Horowitz, the editor of How to Own Your Own Mind, who is here to discuss how we can learn to think before acting, recognize opportunities, define our purpose, and take action. Mitch is a vice president and executive editor at Penguin Random House. He's an award-winning historian who has written for the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Welcome, Mitch. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, Mitch, for people that may not be familiar with Napoleon Hill's work, explain to us why he has remained a constant force for today's motivational thinking.
Well, Napoleon Hill really set the template for business motivational thinking, and he was an interesting man. He was a journalist who lived and worked through most of the 20th century. He died in 1970. And when he was a young man, he set out to determine whether you could find a common set of traits in the lives of exceptional people. So he spent many years, probably close to 2 decades, making a survey of the lives of inventors, entrepreneurs, diplomats, soldiers, artists, and asking, can you find a common set of traits? He believed that you could, and he codified 13 traits that seem to appear again and again in the lives of highly successful or otherwise remarkable people, and he put them into his book Think and Grow Rich in 1937, which became probably one of the most famous books and most widely read books ever published in this country.
Mitch, what are some of these traits that he recognized?
The primary one, and probably the gateway to all the others, is having an absolute passionate aim in life, not just something that you name as a cherished goal, but something that you regard almost obsessively. And he would maintain that if you look in the lives of people you want to emulate, whether they are inventors or entrepreneurs or artists or soldiers, you will almost always find that they dedicated themselves to one impassioned, obsessive trait. Today we talk about balance, we talk about diversifying, but he would have said that the hard truth is you mustn't look upon being obsessed over one goal as some kind of pathology that needs to be diagnosed and treated, but rather if you look into the lives of people you most admire, whether they're people of our own era like a Steve Jobs or people of his era like a Thomas Edison or a Henry Ford, you'll almost always find that these people dedicated themselves with absoluteness to one aim. So that's one primary trait that he found again and again.
We hear so much about creating vision boards and how it's important to visualize what you want in order to manifest it. Why is Napoleon Hill's program different from just visualizing what you want?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. A lot of people ask me, isn't Napoleon Hill more or less like The Secret or what have you? And programs like The Secret, for example, while they may have some virtues and benefits, are chiefly programs of visualization. That's what they are. Hill used visualization, autosuggestion, and other techniques to build confidence and to visualize goals, but he augmented it with a great deal more. He absolutely believed that you had to cultivate accurate thinking. You had to be an organized planner. You had to learn how to distinguish among the quality of different kinds of information or different kinds of self-proclaimed experts. He believed it was absolutely critical to take concrete, practical steps towards your aim, even if they're really just very small steps, but that it was vital to begin enacting something in the direction of what you wanted to accomplish. He had attitudes about saving and spending that he writes about in Think and Grow Rich. He talked about the importance of finding the right kind of colleagues and forming support groups so that you could share ideas and exchange information without just allowing yourself to blurt your ideas out to just anybody, or to get your equilibrium mixed up by receiving opinions from people who, for example, might not know a great deal about your product. Mm-hmm. He talked about the importance of using imagination to marry very specialized plans and information that you've gathered to the project that you want to undertake. He believed that imagination was not just some faculty that you used for daydreaming, or for that matter for visualizing alone, although that is part of his program, but that imagination also had to serve as a bridge, and that bridge could occur only after you did a huge amount of research, so that you could thereby use the imagination to marry your research to some concrete aim. So his program was very well rounded. It involved both mental work and visualization, affirmation, meditation, but also very, very practical steps that he demanded of the reader, and said, you have to act on these things and act on them immediately.
Was there ever a time that he believed it would be okay to take a leap without thinking?
That's a very good question. He believed in intuition. He believed in flashes of insight. He believed that sometimes ideas could just come to us through the subconscious mind that, had some sort of a mysterious faculty where just the thing that we needed would kind of flash into our consciousness. But he believed that these things only occurred in a meaningful way after we did a tremendous amount of research and legwork and background work on our goals. He believed that we really do have and can cultivate intuitive faculties, but the critical part of cultivating those faculties is doing a great deal of work. Mm-hmm. This quote is often attributed to Albert Einstein. I don't know whether he actually ever said it. I have my suspicions that imagination is more important than knowledge. But if Einstein did say anything like that, I think he would have conceded, and Hill is very much concurrent with this, that if that's true, that imagination is more important than knowledge, you still have to amass enormous amounts of knowledge before imagination can actually be useful to you. And that was Hill's attitude.
Why did he believe that it's bad to talk about plans? Is that because talk leads to inaction?
That's sort of a wonderful point. Hill believed that we should limit our talking about our plans to circles of people we really trust. He talked about forming a mastermind group, or what we today would call a support group, mm-hmm. which is basically a group of like-minded, like-valued people that get together once a week usually. I have my own mastermind group, and talk about, discuss, encourage one another in their plans, and also critique and scrutinize one another's plans from a position of mutual support, shared stake, shared values. And there had to be comity and harmony and a great deal of trust in a mastermind group, as you would expect in a support group or a 12-step group or something of that nature. What Hill warned against, and what you're alluding to in his work, is that you must be very, very careful not to just go around spilling your plans to just anyone, because you will find, and I'm sure many of your listeners can relate to this, that friends, colleagues, coworkers, relatives, sometimes you'll announce some cherished plan to them and they will say something very depleting or very disparaging, or they'll greet it with some sort of an eye roll. And chances are they have no idea what they're talking about, but it's a trait of human nature that sometimes we sort of salve our own inactivity by running down other people's ambitions and plans. And it's very, very common that people will describe something that they hold very dear to a colleague or a workmate or even a friend, and that person will make a disparaging remark and disrupt their equilibrium. And Hill said there is no commodity on earth cheaper than opinions. Everybody's got them, and they're usually worth nothing. Do not solicit opinions. Talk to people, but talk only to people who are part of a network that you can really trust. Don't go around talking casually.
Absolutely, because nothing will derail your ambition faster than having someone give you his or her opinion.
Absolutely, and it happens all the time. And to that, I would add that so-called experts are sometimes wrong themselves. I've worked in publishing for many years, and I've heard things from experts over the years that have been completely wrong. Every expert has a bad day, and brilliant people can be wrong about things. So when you get a piece of information, when somebody makes a judgment about something, corroborate it. Never operate just based on one source, and be very, very careful when you're seated at that Thanksgiving table next to your Uncle Mike. Don't just blurt out to him, what's on your mind in terms of your business plans, because we've all had that experience, and you shouldn't have your equilibrium upset by it. Talk to people who are really in the know about what you're doing.
Mitch, what did Napoleon say about recognizing opportunities? One of the things that I work very hard to do is not leave anything on the table. I try to maximize everything. What did he believe about that?
Well, one of the things he said is that opportunity, and sometimes career-making opportunity, tends to come along very unexpectedly through back channels. You have to be out there doing all the things that are necessary to accomplish whatever goal you have in mind. But he said that it's very, very common that while you're doing all that work and while you are stretching yourself toward a certain aim, the thing that you're looking for may come to you in some form or another in a very indirect way, through a real back channel, sideways, very unexpectedly. His observation was that time and time again, success or opportunity or some just momentous occasion will occur completely on the periphery of what you're doing. It will occur, but it'll be peripheral to all the other work that you've been putting in. And it seems to be this mysterious trait of life that in order to get that peripheral benefit, you need to be putting in the work to begin with. But he said success often arrives in a very indirect way and in a kind of unexpected package.
The book is How to Own Your Own Mind. If you would like to get more information about the book or Mitch and his work, you can visit mitchhorowitz.com. Mitch, in about 30 seconds or less, what's the takeaway? What do you want to leave our listeners with?
I think what I want to leave you with is that Hill dedicated himself to the principle that traits that lead to success can be cultivated in a person's life, and that you can find common traits among successful people. Human nature is remarkably consistent, and if you study human nature, you can learn lessons and apply practices and techniques in your own life that are actual concrete stepping stones to success or achievement.
Mitch, thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing this important work that has truly held the test of time. It's just as relevant today as when it was written, so I really appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read our digital magazine, take part in the book club, check out our team, and be sure to follow the show on social media. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.